In this video, I'm going to provide you a few tips of what I use when planning my family Disney trip. If that's something you're into, just keep watching. So the first thing I do, wow, a lot of people will say budget. I do the season and the month. So I look at which season and which month I want to go for my family Disney trip. This is why. Depending on the season and depending on the month will affect the prices. So before I even get into a budget and saying how much or how little I'm willing to spend on this particular trip, it may automatically affect the season or the month I can go in. So if you have littles like I do, I oftentimes have to plan around their school breaks, like spring or summer or winter breaks. So it comes a little bit more difficult because a lot of the times Disney's low rates or off-season prices are when a lot of the kids are in school. So it makes it a little bit harder for you to plan your family trip and set it at a very moderate or realistic budget. So I do the season and the month first. Number two, then I do the budget. So I understand it sounds backwards, but stay with me here. So I already know the season a month. So I have an idea of how much is probably going to be. Then I go forth with setting my budget. And it's really the top of my budget of what I'm okay with spending. So that takes into account the transportation, the lodging, the food, which we'll get into because I'm telling you there are ways around not having to pay expensive Disney prices for food, but also feeding your entire family. So when I'm outlining my budget, I'm taking into account every single thing that I'm gonna have to do. And I don't start out with, oh, this is going to be a 10 grand trip, because that's what usually deters you from wanting to move forward with planning the trip. I'll say, okay, we're looking at about $5,000 for this overall trip. How do I get myself within that number? Number three is flights and hotels or resorts. This is why I think people kind of get tripped up. They'll either buy their flights or their hotels separately, or they will depend their hotel dates or when they're staying based on their flights. Now, I understand there is a lot that goes into it. If you have points, that's another caveat. However, if you are just regular, do not have points, do not have the discounts and all that, and you're just going on there to buy a flight, this is what I recommend and this is what I do. I look at both my flight and my hotel dates around the same time. Actually, at the same time. This is what happens. You may get a great deal on a flight, oh my goodness, an amazing deal. But on the contrary, when you go to book your hotel or book a resort, the price may be skyrocketed because where you're going specifically may have a special event going on, may have a holiday party, especially if you're going through the holidays, know that that price is going to be inflated. So I look at both together and I try to get it to where I'm comfortable with paying a certain amount together. Now, I know that can be difficult and sometimes you're going to have to just pick your win, and it might be the one of the flight price or the one of the hotel price. But if you can get them to a price that you're comfortable with for both of them, I find that to be a win-win. So recommendation, look at them together. Don't just book the flight because, oh, it's a great rate and then I'll figure out the hotel and lodging later. You can save more by trying to get them as close together as possible as far as pricing is concerned. Now, while we're on the topic of hotels and resorts, okay, so this may be a grand old debate for a lot of people, and it can be bang for buck. It can be the amount of people that's going. And the typical number for Disney resorts is 4 people, 5 people capacity. Then you're going to their family suites, which costs a little bit more. But if you're going with like a few people, like if it's just your family and it's like 4 or 5 people, I recommend the Disney resorts. This is why. And I understand some of the things I'm going to say is also available for the outside hotels or hotels that have affiliation with Disney. But personally, there's one thing in particular that I just feel the outside hotels cannot give you all the way, but it could be debated. So thus far, my family has stayed at Pop Century, and we're going back again. We're staying at Art of Animations. When we stayed at Pop Century, the kids enjoyed it. Now, for one, when you stay on Disney property, you have access to all their shuttle service. So you have the Skyliners, the monorails, the buses, the boats. You have access to all of that stuff, and they're going to make sure that it's accessibility to that wherever you go. So you don't have to worry about paying for transportation while you're there, which can sometimes or most often eat at your pockets if you're constantly doing Lyfts or Uber, because depending on the time you're going, they have their prime rates. So it may inflate, and depending on how many people you're with, instead of getting a standard size Uber, you might have to get like an XL or something bigger, which can also affect your price. If you're anything like me, I like things to be concrete. When I set a budget, I like to know that I'm remaining within that budget and I don't have to account for unnecessary expenses, but those expenses that you just really can't control, like the time of day you go, or if something happens, or if you have to be at the clock for a certain thing. I don't really like that, so I really do like the free shuttle service and the variety that it offers and that everything just connects to one another. That's one. Two is the extra magic hours. Now, I understand that some of the hotels may also offer this extra magic hours depending on their affiliation, but I like to guarantee knowing that when I'm staying on this Disney property, I'm going to get those extra magic hours, and that's like an additional 30 minutes before entering. And let me tell you, it makes a difference, because that 30 minutes, depending on where the ride is in the park, that 30 minutes can get you walking to the ride with your littles, and it shortcuts from all the other people that's about to bombard that way. So it just makes it a little bit easier for you to navigate through the parks. Now, hotel pools. Okay, now I'm sure every pool in Florida has a heated system where the pool is heated all year round. I'm not 100% sure. However, at the Disney resorts, they do offer the outdoor pools, and the outdoor pools have such great just architectural design, how they just kind of implement a lot of those fun Disney characters and Disney moments in there. It just makes it fun for the kids. So they have the outdoor heated pools, which are usually regulated at around 80 degrees Fahrenheit year round. So it gives you the opportunity that when you're going in maybe those little colder months, like maybe around the 70s, kind of area, your kids can still go outside and enjoy the mass pool that is available, and it's heated as well, so you don't have to worry about dipping into a cold pool. Now, resort activities. This is the thing. I like knowing that if there's a day that my family and I just want to chill, we don't want to do anything, that we have the option of enjoying the resort as is. Now, with the resort, they oftentimes throughout the day have something magical going on. Either it is s'mores that's happening, or they have a movie under the stars, or they have their arcade, or they have tie-dye shirts, you name it, they have something going on, and it keeps the kids entertained. I don't always want to have to drive off of the property of wherever I am to entertain my kids. Furthermore, I also don't want to have to always bring a whole bunch of stuff from home or buy a bunch of stuff from the Disney parks or from one of the Disney stores to keep them entertained. And most importantly, they oftentimes don't want to just stay in the hotel room. They want to get out. So it's great knowing that there's an option there, and it's usually every hour on the hour they have something going on for the kids, which brings me into that final point of the magic the resorts bring for the kids. Now, I understand decorating can happen anywhere, but not only is it the decorations, but like I said, those resort activities where they just really integrate the characters and those special songs and things that are happening. And when your kids are walking around, they see this ginormous Lion King statue or Little Mermaid, which my family, we are Ariel lovers. We love the Little Mermaid. If you are one too, drop in the comments below. We're with you. But just little things like that, just seeing them in awe and in complete fascination of something like that, or just like, wow, look at this, right? And so like that magic the park also brings to your overall vacation, well, not the park, the resort, brings to your overall vacation, it's just unmatched. It's just you immediately start feeling that Disney magic while you are there. Next thing is the park tickets. So I look at the park tickets after I have determined my flight and my hotel, and I'm determining which park that we want to go to. Now, I'm going to blend this in with my number 4 and number 5, which is dining reservations. And because depending on how you are, depending on how important dining reservations are to you, now, certain Disney princess or Disney character dinings are specific to certain parks. Did not know that initially, but I learned that very quickly. Now, you cannot just reserve a dining reservation to a particular character dining unless you have access to that park. Now, that's a big thing. So if you are about a dining experience for your child, you may want to determine, if you're not doing all 4 parks, by the way, right? You want to probably gauge the park you go to based on that dining experience, because you don't want to just buy a ticket to a park just for that dining experience. You're going to want to enjoy all of it together. And remember, Disney lets you leave and come back into the park throughout the day. So I would say if you want to save a little bit of money and you really want to make bang for your buck, reserve the park based on the dining experience that you're planning, that you really, really want to do, like that character brunch with Belle or with Cinderella, right? You have to have reservations to certain parks. Now, not all their dining experiences are married to a particular park. Like, for instance, we did Mickey's dining. It was a lot of fun. The kids enjoyed it, and it's, interestingly enough, like, they enjoyed that so much because of the characters, because they weren't able to see the traditional, you know, Goofy, Donald, Daisy, Mickey, Minnie character in the park, so they was able to have that. Kobe wanted to enjoy the fun. Real life, you guys, real life. So they were able to have that as well. But here's the other thing. Most times the princesses are in the park. Most times they are in the park. They are available. Sometimes they have like a personal experience that someone may have reserved, so they may not be in the park that particular time, moment, or, you know, within the day. That actually happened to us with Princess Tiana. My kids love her and they wanted to see her. However, she was booked for, I think, a private party or something like that. So it made it a little difficult seeing her. We did end up seeing her, but stuff like that, it's probably fewer than often when it happens. But oftentimes I can see all the Disney princesses and some of those special characters in the park. So you can also kind of tailor that. If you're doing, most times people are doing the dining experiences for the specific princess or the princesses. And honestly, if your child has a favorite Disney princess, and a lot of them are within the Magic Kingdom part, we saw pretty much all of them within the Magic Kingdom part, because some of them substituted other Disney princesses. We didn't have to do the Disney princess character dining because all they wanted to see was that princess. So it saved us a bit of money where they saw who they wanted to see, and we didn't have to pay like $400, you know, for all of us to have that experience. So just be kind of creative on that. Here's a little tidbit that I did not realize until we got there is bring an autograph book. An autograph book, which you can also buy at the park, it's just simply a notebook with a pen, and the characters will sign it for you. So that was also very magical for them. When you're doing the characters meet and greet, it's a little bit more personable as well, because you get time with that character. You can not only take pictures, but the character interacts with your child, so they make it even more special. So I am 100% here for, if you're trying to save some money, have your kids meet the characters within the park. Take that time to stand in line for a little bit. And if you're going around the right time, there's not going to be a long line. Contrary to belief, yes, there are times within the year where the lines are not long, if not there at all. The last time we went, which was the end of August, that's when the Florida students were already back in school, and a lot of the parents were getting, you know, in our area back in school. There were really no lines. The longest we waited was 20 minutes. And that was for a character, and I honestly think that was for Tiana. I think so. But you see what I mean? Like, you can figure out ways where you can save money, your child gets the experience, and you are also enjoying yourself. Shuttle service to the hotel and also back to the airport. We used Mears Connect. It's very simple to navigate. Just www.mearsconnect.com, and they have different ranges of shuttle service, all the way to the big bus shuttle service, which is the shared shuttle service, and then they have like the express or private shuttle service. And of course, the more tailored it is to just you, the more cost. But I think it's a very, very, very cost efficient way for you to have transportation locked and secured from the hotel to the airport and back. They pick you up. They have a schedule and everything, even for you to get back to the airport. They pick you up 3 hours before your flight time. And trust me, you need it, because sometimes it can be very hectic within the airport. However, and then they also have where you put in your flight time and everything, so they know what time you're getting there, and they always have buses available. And depending on the resort you're staying at, you can either be the first person they drop off, maybe the last person they drop off, but you don't really feel that huge lack in time. But for me, again, I'm all about whatever I budget out for my trip. I don't want no surprises. No surprises whatsoever. And that actually happened to us last trip. I did a Mears Connect shuttle for us to get to the hotel from the airport to the hotel, but I did not Mears Connect us back, because I was like 3 hours, that's a little too early. Wish I did, because at that time my child, who was a toddler, she required a car seat. If they're 6 and under, they have to have a car seat. And a lot of the Ubers or Lyfts during that time of the morning that we were going, which was like maybe 3 in the morning, none of them had car seats available. So we ended up having to take a taxi, and about $80 later, right, plus tip, we were at the airport. And then we also were hustling and bustling because it was crazy in there, and we literally made our flight with like 30 minutes to spare. So I said all that, and to say it is that was an additional expense I was not accounting for. I could have saved a lot of money if I just Mears Connect round trip both ways. So I say utilize that system. Again, if it's a way that you're trying to save money, because again, it's all in the magic, it's all in the fun, the experience you create for them. A ride to and from the airport, it's like, you know, if you can put money elsewhere, I would personally, but I utilize that service so that I can, again, remain within my budget, and I know there's guaranteed transportation's going to be there from when we leave, from when we come to when we depart. Transportation to the airport. Now, really quickly, I'm going to the list of which I typically reserve or pay for things when it comes to our Disney trip. And I go based on, number one, if there's a reservation that is required, I typically go with that one first. To know if you are staying on Disney property or Disney resort, they require a $200 deposit within their reservation. So just to keep that in mind, but that does of course go towards your overall pricing that you have to pay for the entire booking. But that's typically how I go from top to bottom. That's the order of which I'm going in. Once with that caveat, a little late in the video, but here we go. So transportation to the airport. Now, determine what that looks like. Are you going to take a Uber, Lyft, or some type of private car pickup to take you from your home to the airport? Take that into account, because that is going to be an expense, and it's going to be a fluctuating expense. You can't pinpoint how much it would be. They do have Lyft and Uber estimators based on date and time, but again, there's no guarantee. It depends on ride demand and all of those different things, right? The other way, which we did, we drove to the airport and we just paid for parking. For me, I do prepaid parking. If your airport allows it, I 100% say do it. It guarantees you your spot within the parking system, but then also furthermore, you already paid for it. You do not have to worry about it. My thing is that when I go on a trip and I have a certain amount that I want to spend, if I did go a little bit over, I don't want it to affect me in any other way of getting home or, you know, being able to get my vehicle or anything like that. So if I can prepay, I prepay as much as possible. That's my biggest tip. So we do the airport transportation there, and then of course we just pay for whatever parking it is at the airport for the amount of days. They oftentimes give you a discounted rate when you're doing multi-day parking, so try to look for something that has multi-day parking at a discounted rate. And then also try to look for something where if it's shuttle service from wherever you're parking, if it is a little distance from the airport, it has a shuttle service that goes like maybe every 10 to 15 minutes. 30 minutes is a very long time to be waiting for the next shuttle ride. So try to make sure you have all of those ducks in a row when you are determining who you're going with for your shuttle ride and for your parking transportation at an airport. Last but not least, Disney accessories. And I'm going to have some tips for you at the very, very end. Kobe, star of the show. Hi. Disney accessories. Now, this is how I saved a lot of money before going to the Disney parks. Here is my big tip on this for you. Go on Amazon, go to Walmart, go to Target. A lot of those Disney accessories that the kids are going to want are oftentimes available at those locations, unless it's specific to Disney, right? If it's like one of their swags, like their newly dropped sweatshirts or something like that, then yes. But if it's not a big deal for you and your family, and it's just the Perry that you're looking for, the paraphernalia with Disney logo on it or a Disney character on there, go to Walmart, order on Amazon. Order their bubble wands on Amazon. You can get it for, maybe a fraction of the price, right? Backpacks, right? I get my girls their cute little Disney or princess backpacks before we go, so they can put everything in there. Sunglasses, right? For them to wear during the parks. Their Disney ears. Get it online. Now, quality may be different. I am not going to not give you that disclaimer. The quality may be different. Now, what I will say is my $12 Mickey ears, or as Ariel ears, has lasted me for a little over 7 months now. Granted, I do not wear it all the time. Now, again, if this is just vacationing and you go periodically, yes. If you go more frequently, then you may want to invest into something that's a little bit more durable. However, if you're really just going to wear it during the time of the trip and you don't care when you get home, go on Amazon, spend the $10. They'll have like maybe a 2-pack of ears for the kids, and let them have that. It'll suit its purpose. If you guys want to get t-shirts, they have Amazon family t-shirts. They have individual t-shirts. If you have a Cricut at home, make your t-shirts. But I don't want to say cutting corners, but this is a way where you can spend your money elsewhere on the trip, and it can be you guys experiencing one of their little dining locations, or maybe somewhere on the boardwalk, or maybe at Disney Springs, the kids can go to the Lego store, right, and buy something, right? For me, I'm all about how much of an experience I can have there at the location, as opposed to how much I'm spending just to get to that location, if you get what I mean. So wherever you can cut corners that it does not really affect or impact your trip drastically, do it. Why not? Because you can spend that money elsewhere, or you can just save it all together, and it cuts down from your budget probably being $5,000 to $4,000, right? And again, it's possible. People have 100% done it. Now, again, it depends on the limits you're also putting on yourself, the restrictions you're putting on yourself, to say that I'm just not going to do this, we're just going to do this. That also helps cut down on your budget. But from start to finish, this is how I plan my Disney trips, and I'm telling you, every time we go, we 100% enjoy it. We do not have no issues, right? Even with the kids. It's awesome. Okay. So here are my big tips when it comes to staying at Disney resorts. Now, Disney is all about honoring promotions and just making sure you have a magical time. Now, this happened to us. If you book a resort, or if you book your room before a promotion happens, monitor the Disney website. Monitor it, because it's a guarantee they are going to drop some type of promotion that's either 10, 15, 20, or 25% off of your room. So what happened to us was we actually booked a room at, what was it? It was one of their value resorts. I believe it was their movies resort that we were going to stay at. If I'm not mistaken, it's the movies resort. And I paid the price for it. And then I later went on the website and they was having a promotion. Well, I called and I said, hey, I booked before the promotion happened. What can we do? And she gave me the option of, she was like, hey, we can give you, your money back for the difference of the promotion, or we can upgrade you to the Pop Century Resort. That's how we ended up at Pop Century. And I was like, well, what are some of the benefits of staying at the Pop Century Resort? And the biggest thing, which I do not regret to this day, and I love it, is the sky. My boy Kobe. is the Skyliner. It made the transportation so much more smooth and just seamless, right? Just getting on and off, because it's a continue flowing Skyliner. But then also it made it very magical for the kids because they was up in the air. They were able to see like over Epcot, and then the fireworks, when they were happy, they were able to see that. And it just made it so much more magical for them. And it increased our transportation options directly from our resort. So most resorts transportation options, the basic is going to be the shuttle service. The shuttle service can sometimes be a little a little not only uncomfortable but just inconvenient oftentimes, but it increases the option to now we also have the Skyliner as well, and the Skyliner can get you from one point to another, which can expand your options of shuttle service, like to the monorail or to the boat ride or something of that sort. So that's everything I had to make your Disney experience not only affordable but also magical. Cut corners where you feel you can cut corners, but doesn't affect the overall essence of your trip, and ultimately just have fun. The biggest thing that I can tell you is, if you're going with children, do not establish a very detailed itinerary at all, because one thing is going to become frustrating. Going to become frustrating. It was a little frustrating for us at certain parts of the day where our kids were either tired or they just wanted to do the pool the whole time. And because my husband and I did not come with like this strict itinerary, like, no, we need to be at the parks this entire time, we let them enjoy what they wanted to enjoy. And then when they were ready to go, we left. When they went to do Disney Springs and just walk around and, you know, enjoy the views of everything, we did that, right? It was just a very stressless, it was a stress-free trip. My husband and I enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed it. We did not encounter any type of hiccups. Another tip where it comes to the food. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Is when it comes to the food and when it comes to the dining. Now, a way you can also save money in dining is bringing your own food. Now, when it comes to the parks, Disney allows you to bring food, water, drinks, of course, no alcoholic beverages inside of the park, which is perfect. We not only saved money that way, but it made it a little bit easier when our kids were getting tired, they were hungry, we had snacks available for them, and when they were ready to eat, we didn't have to stand in lines, we did not have to wait, we did not have to figure out what do you want to eat and all that. We literally ordered Subway sandwiches before we went. Chips, juice. We got a little backpack cooler that we ordered off of Amazon, and we were ready. We all sat there, we all ate. When everybody was done, we left, right? And we saved so much money that way, as opposed to one, my kids do not have the hugest appetite, and there's a lot of variables that affect it. If they're excited, if they're irritated, if it's hot, whatever, it suppresses their appetite sometimes, right? So I didn't feel like I was wasting money on getting a $15 meal for this little person, right? And they not eat it all, or they don't like it. My kid can be a very picky eater as well, right? And we came in with something that we 100% knew that they were going to like, and it just did not affect our day. It was like, hey, you guys are hungry? Cool. We don't have to walk around to find that one spot that has the particular fries you want, or that one spot that has the Mickey shaped whatever, right? We're just like, all right, cool. We'll sit at this table, we'll eat, and then we'll keep it pushing. So it made it a lot more seamless for us inside the park. Even at the resort, we just DoorDash food there. A lot of people did that, actually. We DoorDash food, we DoorDash our lunch, and we DoorDash our dinner there. And we had no issue. It was food they were already familiar with. There are food spots within the area. It was awesome. We also DoorDashed the very first day groceries to the room. We got our waters. We got any beverages that we wanted to have there. We got snacks like chips. We got cereal and muffins and fruit for the morning time. We had fruit snacks in there. So we just DoorDash everything there. So I recommend getting a Dash Pass if you don't have it. If you DoorDash relatively often, but we save money that way. We didn't have to worry about the additional expense, and the budget that I set for how much we were going to do for food, it was spot on. I set a budget for, depending on the meal, it was like maybe $20 per person per meal. So it was like $20 for lunch, $20 for dinner. That's a $40 day for you, and that can include an additional snack that they wanted to get that was outside of their meal or whatever, and it worked. it worked. And oftentimes we was under that budget because, again, we already DoorDash snacks and little groceries inside the room, so we already had that stuff there. But and then of course when it was on a park day, I also budgeted out money for little snacks that they might want, or something cool that they might see they wanted to get, or even for my husband, I budgeted that out as well. But we oftentimes remained under the mark, and it was perfect. Because this is the thing, you are oftentimes paying a little extra because it has that Disney seal on it, right? Like, you know, because you just bought it in the park. Sometimes you're oftentimes paying extra for that. And when you're hungry, a lot of things make sense. You don't care, you just want to get it, right? And so my biggest tip is that if you can, just DoorDash the food. There's nothing more magical and nothing more special about fries from Disney than fries from Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever, or Chick-fil-A, right? And your kids might enjoy it more. So that's my other pro tip when it comes to this thing. Now, that is everything that I have for you guys. I hope that when you are planning your family trip, if you have any other ways to save money or ways to make it more magical without the headache, absolutely drop in the comments below, because this is the thing. We are a community here, and most oftentimes than none, you want your child to experience that whole Disney feel at least one time in their life, and you do not have to go broke to enjoy the trip. But as always, until next time, hope you enjoy your trip. See you guys later.